You've been told that selling is about confidence, charisma, and a killer pitch. That's not true. And if you've ever bought something from someone who barely said a word, you already know it. Here's what this video actually gets into. Not the hype, not the 10x your sales overnight nonsense. The actual psychology of why people buy, and why the most effective salespeople on earth rarely feel like salespeople at all. But before we get there, you need to understand why almost everyone gets the difference between sales and marketing completely backwards. Picture the guy at the trade show who won't stop talking. He's got the pitch memorized, the firm handshake, the binder full of testimonials. He corners you near the exit and doesn't let go for 12 minutes. Why does this never work? Because somewhere around minute 2, your brain flags him as a threat, not a source of value. That's not a marketing failure. That's biology. Humans are wired to resist pressure, not respond to it. The guru version of sales, always be closing, never take no for an answer, assumes people buy with logic if you just hit them with enough facts. They don't. Studies out of Harvard and MIT have shown that the vast majority of purchase decisions, some estimates put it above 90%, happen in the emotional centers of the brain before logic ever gets involved. Logic shows up afterward, mostly to justify what emotion already decided. So the pushy pitch isn't just annoying, it's targeting the wrong part of the brain entirely. Here's the line worth remembering. People don't buy products, they buy better versions of themselves. That's the whole game. Now here's where sales and marketing actually split. Marketing is the story that gets told before you ever meet the product. Sales is the conversation that happens once you're already curious. Confuse the two, and you either annoy people with pitches before they're ready, or you bore them with information after they're already convinced. Most failed businesses don't have a sales problem. They have a sequencing problem. But here's where it gets interesting. If emotion drives the decision, why do price tags, features, and specs even matter? Because they're not there to convince you. They're there to give your logical brain permission to agree with what your gut already decided. A $9,000 watch doesn't tell time better than a $30 one. It tells a story about who's wearing it. Strip away the story, and the price becomes meaningless. This is where trust enters the equation, and trust is the real currency of every transaction. Think of it like a bank account. Every honest claim, every promise kept, every moment a brand does exactly what it said it would, that's a deposit. Every exaggeration, every bait and switch, every fine print surprise, that's a withdrawal. Companies that go broke on trust can drop their price to zero, and people still won't buy. You can't discount your way out of a trust deficit. So why does this matter to you? Because it means the fastest way to grow sales isn't a better pitch. It's removing reasons for someone to doubt you. Now let's talk about the part nobody explains in the how to sell videos. Value perception isn't fixed, it's constructed, and it's shockingly easy to shift. Anchoring is the clearest example. Show someone a $500 option first, then a $150 option, and the second price feels like a bargain, even if $150 was always overpriced for what it does. Nothing about the product changed, only the frame around it did. Branding works the same way, just slower. A brand is nothing more than a shortcut your brain builds, so it doesn't have to reevaluate a decision every single time. That's expensive to build and brutal to lose, which is why one bad headline can undo a decade of goodwill overnight. This is the part that separates the businesses that last from the ones that flame out in 18 months. The flameouts treat every sale like a one-time event. The ones that last treat every sale like the first sentence of a relationship. I still remember buying a $15 candle in 2019 that I absolutely did not need. What sold me wasn't the scent. It was a single line on the box that made me feel like I'd have good taste for owning it. 3 years later, I couldn't tell you what it smelled like, but I remember exactly how it made me feel walking it up to the register. And here's the twist most people never see coming. The biggest driver of whether someone buys isn't the price, the pitch, or even the product. It's how safe they feel saying yes. Every no in the history of commerce isn't really rejection of the product. It's the brain protecting itself from looking stupid, getting ripped off, or making a decision it'll regret. Which means the entire job of selling isn't persuasion at all. It's risk removal. Money-back guarantees, reviews, testimonials, free trials, none of that exists to prove the product works. It exists to make saying yes feel like nothing happened if it doesn't. The best salespeople figured this out decades before it had a name. They stopped selling products and started selling the absence of fear. Selling isn't convincing someone to want something. It's giving someone who already wants it permission to stop hesitating. So if risk removal is the real driver, where does storytelling fit in? Story is how humans have always processed risk before language had a word for it. A list of features asks your brain to calculate. A story just asks it to feel, and feeling moves faster than math every time. That's why the brand with the better origin story consistently outsells the brand with the better spec sheet, even when the product underneath is worse. Think about it like a campfire versus a spreadsheet. Nobody leans in closer to hear a spreadsheet. Now, the mistakes. Not the obvious ones. Everyone already knows not to lie about your product. The mistakes that actually kill sales are quieter than that. Chasing every possible customer instead of the right one turns your message into oatmeal, technically fine, appealing to nobody in particular. Talking about the product instead of the transformation makes people shrug, because nobody wakes up wanting a 15% faster processor. They wake up wanting to stop feeling behind. And maybe the most common mistake of all, selling too early, before trust has had time to compound, which is like proposing marriage on a first date and being confused when it doesn't land. Imagine someone starting a business today with none of this figured out yet. First, they'd build something that solves a real, specific ache. Not a vague, everyone could use this, but a problem someone would be a little embarrassed to admit they have. Then, instead of writing an ad, they'd tell one true story about a person that problem actually happened to. Somewhere in the first month, they'd stop asking, "How do I convince people?" and start asking, "What's still making people nervous to say yes?" And they'd fix that one thing before touching their pricing page again. By the time they're ready to actually sell anything, most of the selling has already quietly happened, without a single pushy word. That's the real secret hiding under all of this. The best salespeople rarely feel like salespeople because they stopped selling and started removing reasons not to buy. Everyone else is still out there trying to win an argument nobody agreed to have. Which brings up the harder question. If trust is the real currency, how does anyone build it fast in a world where attention resets every 8 seconds? That one doesn't have a neat answer yet, and it's probably worth its own conversation entirely.